friends. Tonight we journey back to a world of ice fields and crooked cottages, where wood smoke curls through the grey winter skies. As you wrap your cloak tighter, you can feel the chill gnawing at your fingertips. Snow blankets thatched roofs, transforming each dwelling into a gingerbread house. Time is rooted in the Middle Ages, long before colourful lights and plastic Santas appeared. Here, Christmas carries a rougher, truer meaning. It carries the aroma of roasting meat, the scent of damp hay, and the smell of wool steeped in smoke. You may not survive this winter, but let us imagine you do. Before settling in, if you enjoy my work, please spare a second to like and subscribe, if convenient. Tell me in the comments where you're from and the current local time. Extinguish the lights, the morning wind stings the lungs. You tread muddy paths, crunching thin ice beneath your feet. Chickens stir within their pens. Cattle exhale white mist, and the village hums with the slow rhythm of existence. The scent of burning oak and damp wool fills your nostril. Christmas week approaches, and though your boots are soaked, a faint warmth stirs within. This is the only time of year when even the poorest can taste a hint of joy. The hamlet surrounding you is humble no more than 20 thatched cottages, mud minus and minus wattle fences, brown roofs of moss minus covered turf, earthen floors within. Yet this was home. You duck through a low doorway into a smoke minus filled single room. In the dimness, the hearth fire flickered, steam rising beneath a suspended pot. Smoke rises through holes in the roof, while dried herbs and rosaries hang upon the walls. A silent blend of superstition and faith. Outside, the world seemed half minus dead, on fields blanketed by frozen earth. The last cabbages hung like green ghosts, while livestock huddled for warmth. Yet, amidst this bleakness, a certain energy stirred. Villagers busied themselves cleaning, mending, and patching, for Christmas was approaching. Here, it was not merely a festival, but a season of respite, a release from ceaseless toil. Soon there would be carols, ill laughter, and perhaps a touch of sin. Hope could be felt in the quickening pace of people's steps, as if even the cattle sensed the sacred occasion approaching. He stepped outside to watch the dawn light creep across the fields, children chasing each other through the frost, their breath like tiny ghosts. Elders carried logs towards the manor house, preparing for the Christmas fire. That wood was not merely fuel, but a sanctuary believed to bring good fortune for the coming year, especially if it burned through the night. Some would save a piece of charcoal to kindle the hearth fire the following year. Historians still debate whether this custom originated from pagan winter rites or early Christian rituals, but now it was sacred. The village's sounds gradually swelled. Dogs bark, pots clatter, and the chapel bell tolls 3 times, a reminder that joy must be tempered with prayer. Across the street, the constable and bailiff stands, tallying the bundles of wood owed to the Lord, his expression stern yet proud, though debts are owed by all. Today none are held against anyone. The air is thick with the scent of hope. You pass the smithy, where the blacksmith hammers a glowing horseshoe, sparks flying like orange fireflies. He pauses and grins. Christmas is coming. There, his voice is rough with smoke and ale. A sprig of holly pins his smock. Even tough men allow a touch of decoration this week. By midday, the village square buzzed with activity. Women carried baskets brimming with load, their aprons dusted with white flour. Men hauled beer barrels into the hole, each one thudding as it rolled. Children trailed behind, eyes wide at the prospect of sweets or slices of meat. A stray goose foraged among the crowd, pecking at scattered crumbs. It was chaos, yet a joyful chaos. He suddenly realized at this moment, no one toiled for the Lord. No one paid tribute to the church. They worked for themselves, for their neighbors. The distinctive scent of year minus end filled the air. Smoke, brie, the fragrance of pie. Greenwood crackled in the fires, its sputtering light filling your ears. You gaze up at the grey, snow minus laden sky and feel a strange peace. The year draws to a close. and the long famine nears its end. Tonight, you think not of next year's taxes or poor harvests now. You think only of wool, song, and the hope of meat. A band of lads hurtled past, dragging a sledge fashioned from a broken barrel and rope. They bellowed of capturing the Christmas pig, tumbling into snowdrifts with guffaws that drew smiles even from the elders. A rare sound in the harsh winter, drifting through the air like a melody. As dusk deepened, warm light spilled from cottages, candles flickering through oiled paper window panes. You slipped into one room to find a family gathered round the hearth, the father mending a stool, the mother kneading dough, the eldest daughter humming an ancient melody, a song perhaps older than Christ. Some say a pagan hymn cloaked in sanctity. Historians still debate whether such hymns were a curse or a blessing to the early church. Yet now, no one ponders heresy or awaits supper. As night deepens and chill intensifies, the aroma of stewed meat fills the air. Outside, snowflakes drift down once more, soft and silent, draping all in fragile stillness. You sit by the hearth, the crackling flames lulling you to sleep. Mother ladles out thick onion and barley soup, handing you a wooden bowl. You sip the hot broth, salty, savory, simple, just right. Family members whisper about next week's plans, worship services, feasts, games. Even the old grandmother, wrapped in woolen years, smiles at the thought of dancing. You glance out the small window. The moon has risen, pale and vast, illuminating the frozen field. Somewhere in the distance, the faint howl of a wolf reaches you, yet inside, the warmth is like spring, and you almost forget this is a cruel world, hunger and sickness lurking beyond the door. Now there is only peace. Tomorrow there will be celebration. The fire crackles, with splitting and spitting sparks. Someone chuckles, softly someone yawns. You close your eyes, letting the warmth seep into your very bones. Outside, the snow falls thicker, swallowing all sound, as if the entire village has sunk into the embrace of a white blanket. In this stillness, you finally understood why this festival mattered so deeply. It was not about gifts, kings, or miracles, but about survival, about the stubborn joy of life when the world seemed on the brink of ending. You awoke before dawn, though it scarcely felt like morning. The sky hung like charcoal, the cold more biting than before. Somewhere, a cock crowed, its voice hoarse in the frost. This is Advent, the waiting time before the feast, its hungry pull felt by every villager. You wrap your cloak tighter and step outside. The air is bone-minus, chilling. Each breath exhales ghostly vapor into the darkness. The church bells toll dully, their echoes drifting across the fields, not a call to labor, but a summons to prayer. The priest insists every soul should greet Christmas with silent contemplation and an empty stomach. You fast like the others, yet your belly still growls. Advent is meant to teach patience, humility, and faith, yet you taste only icy fingertips and thin broth. Even so, this shared hunger brings a strange solace. The faces around you are identical, gaunt and weary by day, yet hopeful. They labor the same frozen fields. By night, they kneel in the same dim church, whispering prayers to the cold. Within the small chapel, candles flicker against rough wooden walls, wax dripping like tears down iron candlesticks. You knelt upon withered grass, the dry straw beneath your knees creaking. The priest's Latin liturgy flowed low and steady through the air, its meaning beyond comprehension, yet its essence felt in the marrow. He spoke of light returning to darkness, of faith enduring the frost's trial, poetic in sound, yet words of warning. After the service, you staggered out of the church with the congregation. The sun had not yet risen, but a faint silver glow touched the horizon. You noticed the older women clutching their rosaries like talismans, while the young men exchanged furtive glances, their minds already on the dance to come. After the service, you staggered out of the church with the congregation. The sun had yet to rise, yet a faint silver halo already tinged the horizon. You observed the elderly women clutching their rosaries like talismans, while the young men exchanged furtive glances, their minds already turning to the forthcoming dance. Even during the season of fasting, the human spirit seeks its pleasures. Historians still debate, was the medieval Advent season more spiritual or social? Did it emphasize penance or the slow burnout allure before release? Perhaps both. Perhaps that was its very humanity. Returning to the cottage, smoke rose once more. The scent of simmering cabbage and oats drifted through the alleyway, drawing you to the small kitchen. The woman stirs the contents of the pot with a wooden spoon, smiling without looking up. Barely enough to fill the belly, she says, but it will hold us over until feast time. Beside her, children watch with wide eyes, spoons trembling in their hands, hunger's quivering palpable. This meal is about survival, not satisfaction. Outside, the cold wind whistles through the door, its humming making the entire room shiver. You sip the thick, bland porridge in your bowl, trying to imagine the Christmas feast to come. Meat, bread, ale, laughter. It seemed like a dream, yet it was precisely this dream that sustained everyone. Strangely, hope proved sweeter than food. Afternoon slowed the village with the fields asleep. Labor grew sparse. Some mended tools, others repaired roof, while a few carved small toys from wood shavings. Women hummed hymns as they spun, their melodies ancient, even older than the church itself. Occasionally, tales of miracles were aired, saints healing the blind, or shepherds encountering angels. A few still whispered of less sacred matters, spirits in winter woods, or ghosts visiting cold hearths. The priest disapproved, yet could not extinguish the embers of old beliefs flickering beneath the new faith. One dusk, the priest himself visited the cottages, carrying a small lantern and speaking softly of confession. He urged each household to keep their hearts pure and confess before the holy day arrived. He was gentle, yet watchful, his figure revealed in the flickering candlelight as he departed. The house grew even more silent after his departure, the air thick with solemnity, yet scarcely had his footsteps faded, when a soft chuckle broke the stillness. Pure hearts. Hey, he'd do well to start with his own. The laughter rippled through the room, fine and rebellious. Later, as you passed through the village again, frost sparkled like glass powder on every rooftop. The air stilled to a near sacred stillness. You passed the church, a solitary lamp dimly glowing within. Newly woven fabric shimmered upon the altar, the fruit of women's secret midnight embroidery, each stitch a prayer, each thread a gift. How beautiful the notion that even the poorest could offer a hand-sewn offering. You notice all has fallen silent, the daily clang of the blacksmith's hammer, the murmur of idle chatter. Even the dog's barking has grown tame. It is as if the entire world holds its breath. This is Advent's true rhythm. Restraint, vigilance, reverence. You begin to feel this stillness spreading within you, the dull ache of hunger replaced by a certain tranquility. As night falls, the stars pierce the sky with a sharpness that almost stings. Lying restless upon your straw bed, you listen to the villagers' faint murmurs and infants' cry somewhere. A lullaby hummed in another. Gazing at the rafters, you imagine the warmth of the feast to come, and this thought wraps around you like a blanket. Yet not all observe the fact. You hear whispers in the shadows, someone secretly nibbling bacon or sipping ale. The constable pretends not to notice as long as the priest remains unaware. Even sacred matters have their loopholes. The old man jokes that fasting keeps him eternally young, for a body so empty has no time to age. You chuckle inwardly, yet your stomach growls at that very moment. Tomorrow the priest will bless the Advent candles, melting old wax to cast new ones. He says the Advent light must burn perpetually, a beacon of hope in the darkest hour. Pondering these thoughts, you drifted into sleep. Perhaps light resides not only in candles, but within people themselves, frail, weary, and trembling, yet still laughing, still yearning for joy. You dream of food, of warmth. Bells ring through the snow. Somewhere in the dream, A whisper the waiting is nearly over. The frost deepens, clinging to branches and window frames. Yet the village feels more alive than last week. The air carries the scent of pine resin and damp earth, for now you and your neighbors are bringing the forest indoors. Evergreen branches hang over doorways, woven into wreaths and garlands. The world may slumber beneath the snow, but within each home, green life quietly revives. You carry a bundle of ivy and holly through the alleyway, resin coating your hands, sticky and cold. Leaves still glisten in the dim light, waxy and tenaciously alive, a small miracle in December's deep winter. Ancient texts record that villages across England, France, and Germany adorned their homes with evergreen long before it became a Christmas tree symbol. This verdure reminded all, life can conquer the coldest winter. Women favor ivy, for its twining embrace silently signifies resilience. Men favor holly, its red berries heralding beauty blooming through hardship. Tea-horned leaves hung upon or frames serve an other purpose legend holds. They dispel wandering spirits. You notice a peculiar custom: the holly gathered by a man must be paired with ivy gathered by a woman, lest misfortune befall them the coming year. Children drag branches along, laughing, their cheeks flushed crimson. Among them, some hum winter songs passed down through generations. None recall the original teacher or their deeper meaning, yet the comfort carried by the melody feels far older than any sermon. Scholars still debate whether these folk songs stem from Christian hymns or fragments of pagan rites, a matter the church tacitly tolerates. Regardless, singing warms the frigid air. You step inside the cottage to help hang the wreath. Enveloped by the hearth's heat as the scent of pine mingles with the aroma of baking bread, smoke lazily curling towards the rafters. The walls were rough and dim, yet verdure breathed new life into them, a soft vitality emerging amidst the soot and mud. A small wooden cross hung above the doorframe, now entwined with vines, simple yet sacred. The old grandmother was adjusting the mistletoe above the hearth when she gave you a sly glance and said, "Whoever stands beneath must receive a kiss from a loved one." Your cheeks flushed with laughter as she blinked. This custom, perhaps less ancient than she imagined, remained steadfastly cherished. Ancient text record mistletoe as bearing complex emotions. For the ancient druids it held suspicion, for priests its charred ease. Yet the younger generation found it irresistible, even in times of fasting and prayer. Affection always found a crack through which to grow. As dusk deepened, you stepped outside once more. Snowflakes drifted lightly, and beneath the glow of the eve's firelight, the flakes dancing before the window seemed to shimmer with a faint light. Even in the season of fasting and prayer, affection always found a way. As dusk deepened, you stepped outside once more. Snowflakes drifted lightly, and the flickering light from the cottage window illuminated the dancing flakes. Every doorframe loaded with greenery, every lintel adorned with holly. The entire village seemed to come alive, as if the forest had migrated here to keep watch. Villagers murmured should the ivy wither before New Year, illness would descend. None wished to test this belief, so they watered the village plants with melted snow. The priest passed by, wrapped in his heavy, damp cloak. Pausing to inspect the decorations, he frowned at the mistletoe, nodded approvingly at the holly. He murmured admonitions against superstition, yet his breath carried a faint scent of malted barley. The villagers nodded and smiled, then quietly added ivy to the church door as soon as he turned away. It was said that even the priest, after years of service, would cease resisting the forest's influence. Whispering among themselves, several villagers murmured to the plants at night, beseeching them to guard their homes from evil. Whether these were prayers or incantations, no one knew, yet every leaf seemed to listen. In a world where storms could tear roofs from houses and disease could snatch children, speaking softly to greenery seemed harmless, even wise. As the midnight bonfire dimmed, you lay upon your straw mattress, watching holly shadows dance upon the wall. The swaying leaf patterns shifted with the breeze, morphing into flickering microminous figures. You imagine them as tiny guardians, barring the frost from seeping into your bones. Somewhere beyond the window, an owl gave a distant hoot. Most medieval texts note that these small rituals gathering green branches, hanging holly, chanting ancient tunes were as vital as the feast itself. They breathed life into places where existence faded. Touching living things in the depths of winter was an act of faith in spring's return. The scent of pine and ash accompanies you to sleep, the crackle of the last log fading into silence as the house creaks with cooling, a faint glow lingering where the fire once burned. You cannot help but ponder how remarkable that centuries later, the same rituals endure, bringing trees indoors, hanging wreaths, filling homes with greenery, even as deathly white blankets the outside world. Perhaps this is Christmas's true miracle, not the feast or the gifts, but that stubborn refusal to let darkness end everything. The dawn light is pale and cold, the frosty mist like glass covering all things, your breath rising in clouds outside. Today is slaughter day, though the stench is nauseating. It all depends on the harvest to come. The pigs grunt softly, utterly unaware of the fate approaching. This is not cruelty, but the way survival. Historians record that each December, on the eve of Christmas, most villages slaughter livestock to stockpile for winter. Bitter cold preserves meat from spoiling, and this feast represents the ultimate luxury within a farmer's reach. Touching the wooden fence, you witness men gathering, blades and buckets in hand, their frost miners' reddened faces reeking of alcohol. The village elder bellowed blessings, though his words sounded more like habitual incantations than sacred prayers. A piercing wail, silence, a dull thud, then the air thickened with the scent of blood and smoke. You averted your gaze, yet glanced back instantly. No one could bear to waste a single scrap. Children hurriedly gathered scraps of fat in bowls lined with cloth, while women stood ready with boiling cauldrons to render lard. This sombre, bustling dance unfolded with practiced precision. One peculiar detail: villagers once smeared a drop of pig's blood upon their doorsteps, believing it would ward off winter's sicknesses. To modern ears, this practice sounds eerie and frightening, yet to them, it was a form of protection. The blood signified the vitality of the household, sharing in the life force of the creature that nourished them. Some whispered that omitting this ritual would invite misfortune or famine. The slaughter continued for hours, and by midday, the courtyard was strewn with straw, feathers, and the cold gleam of blades. A heavy metallic scent hung in the air, yet it was strangely comforting. You gradually understood why the farmers now wore a hint of joy. They had finally attained abundant skewered meats, sausages, broth, lard for making candles. Children darted about, carrying chunks of meat to the smokehouse. Everyone participated in this transformative ritual, turning death into war, scarcity into hope. Ancient memorial texts record that a portion of the meat must always be offered to the Lord's kitchen, even during celebrations. This serves as a reminder that the poor must still pay tribute. Yet the Lord reciprocates with gifts: a jug of wine or a piece of cheese. This exchange sustains the village's fragile peace. No one speaks of fairness, yet all understand the rules. You assisted in stringing the meat strips in the smokehouse, the air thick with smoke. Beneath the hanging hams, logs crackled in the fire, dripping fats sizzling as it fell into the flames. The rich aroma made your stomach churn with hunger. Someone offered a sizzling slice of fresh liver. You accepted without hesitation. Salted, smoked, and rich beyond belief. For the first time in weeks, your body felt alive. At dusk, the blood minus stained snow glowed pink in the fading light. The men washed their hands in icy water, roaring with laughter as they poured the last of the mead into wooden cups. One, already staggering, raised his cup and bellowed at the pig that had fed them all, provoking uproarious guffaws. You too drank that cup of mead, bitter as fermented bread, its liquid burning your throat, yet bringing a strange, welcome pleasure. Nothing of the carcass went to waste. Hides were dried for shoes, bones simmered for broth, fat rendered into soap and candles. Even the bladder was tied and dried to become a child's bowl. Witnessing toddlers kicking what had been dinner mere hours before was strangely poignant. 14th-century writers recorded villagers viewing this day as both sacred and perilous. Blood could some unblessings invite calamity. Shedding it on church grounds was a curse. Spilling it upon frozen earth brought fortune. None fully grasped the origins of this belief, though scholars surmised its roots lay in ancient harvest rites. As night fell, you joined the crowd into the great hall, where the first feast commenced. Meat and onions simmered in the stewpot, the room illuminated by the dim glow of candles. The aroma of oil mingled with rising steam. Children huddled by the hearth, sated and silent, while elders hummed old tunes. One scholar remarked this day encapsulates all the contradictions of medieval life: cruelty and gratitude, faith and fear, death and rebirth. Observing the villagers now, you knew this to be true. One hand gave thanks for the food, the other raised a cup to survival. When you finally stepped outside, stars shone brightly in the inky night sky, and snow crunched beneath your boots. Laughter drifted from the hall behind you, muffled by the cooled air. A peculiar stirring takes hold within you, either joy or sorrow, perhaps resignation. The harshest days of winter have yet to come, but tonight all have eaten their fill. That is enough. You pause by the pigsty fence, where frozen earth glows crimson and air hangs thick, broken only by the crackle of the bonfire. Gazing up at the moon, you realize tomorrow those who wielded knives today will kneel in church seeking forgiveness. How these two scenes complement each other. In the morning light, frost crystals shimmer, as if the world were strewn with shards of glass. As you head towards the ale shed behind the tavern, your breath turns to steam. Inside, the air is warm, thick with the malty, yeasty aroma. Crowds gather around the great wooden vat, long paddles stirring the churning liquid amidst constant laughter. Brewing day has arrived, and the atmosphere has shifted, no longer somber, but tinged with hope. Scattered records indicate brewing was a vital communal activity, particularly around Christmas. Each household contributed barley or oats, and the resulting ale was freely shared during the 2-day festival. This ale was thick and deep, often sweetened with honey or herbs rather than hops. For common folk, it served as both drink and sustenance, replacing water in the bitter cold and becoming a source of strength. You watched the woman named Agnes stirring the boiling liquid with a long handled ladle. You watched the woman named Agnes sprinkle dried rosemary into the vat, grinning as she said, to ward off evil spirits. You couldn't tell if she meant it, but in times when disease ran rampant, who would risk it? Curiously, some brewers would carve a small cross onto their wooden ladles before stirring, said to make the malt liquor richer and less prone to souring. The mixture bubbled and churned, filling the air with a spicy, earthy scent. Men tasted it with wooden spoons, humming their approval. Children gathered at the doorway, pretending to assist. Brewers carved crosses into their wooden ladles before stirring, convinced this would fortify the ale and prevent souring. The malt bubbled and churned, its earthy fragrance filling the air. The men sampled the brew with wooden ladles, humming their approval. Children gathered by the doorway, feigning assistance while secretly hoping for a taste, and a few did get their wish. By dusk, nearly everyone was slightly tipsy, and no one found it odd. Most records indicate that alewives, as women who brewed and sold ale, were central figures in village life. In this world where women were seldom granted autonomy, the church grudgingly tolerated them, but only to the extent that their profits or merriment remained acceptable. Priests accused them of vanity or sin. Historians still struggle to conclude. Were these women respected providers, or figures bordering on witchcraft? Regardless, all depended on them. The brewing process was lengthy: barley soaked, boiled, cooled, then filtered, You helped haul heavy barrels from the well, arms aching, each vessel steaming in the chill air, its aroma growing richer and heavier, almost sweet. Someone hummed a rhythmic tune, singing of Saint Nicholas and his beer-loving monks. Nicholas and his beer-loving monks. Soon everyone stamped their feet in unison to the beat. It was no hymn. Yet in the tavern it became a sacred song. First came the casks brewed last week, the floor packed with villagers, smoke from the hearth drifting between the beams, laughter echoing off the walls. In the corner, the fiddler's crimson-chilled fingers plucked the strings. You swayed to the rhythm, the warmth of malt beer spreading through your chest. A charming superstition held, should the first drop of new brew spill to the floor, it must be left there for good fortune. To wipe it with a cloth would be sacrilege against the god of wine. Naturally, some deliberately spill their cups, letting the liquid splash upon the flagstones amidst merriment. As dusk falls, the priest feigns blindness. Villagers gather round tables, passing the jug, raising cups to bless the harvest, the health of livestock, the joy of newborns, and the repose of the departed. Each toast was a prayer wrapped in laughter. Local chronicles record how this blend of piety and merriment vexed the clergy. Yet even the bishop conceded. What sort of Christmas is it without beer? You lean against the wall, warmth spreading through your limbs as you sip from your cup. Outside, snowflakes drift silently, while the hearth crackles. Someone begins a slower ballad, recounting a sailor who traded his soul for a barrel of beer. The coarse, cheerful song echoes through the crowd. As night deepened, a lad climbed a stool, donned a crown of holly woven from reeds, and proclaimed himself king of the beer. Thunderous applause erupted as he ordered all to drink freely Acom, and met with half-minus joking, half-minus willing obedience. The constable roared with laughter, feigning a bow, this harmless merriment serving as a welcome escape from daily drudgery. You sip the last drop of mead, a hazy mist enveloping your heart. Music fades. Laughter dissolves into cornered whispers. Two elders doze by the hearth, still clutching their cups. This harmless mischief is the taste of rebellion savage before returning to routine. You sip the last drop of ale, a pleasant haze enveloping your mind. The music fades to murmurs, laughter becoming whispers in the corners. Two elders doze by the fire, mugs still clutched, smoke and contentment filling the air. Did medieval villagers truly believe wine sanctified their celebrations, or did they simply find full cups easier for forgetting troubles? Be that as it may, ale became the season's pulse, humble alchemy, distilling grain, water, and patience into merriment. Stepping outside, the chill finally lashed your face like splashing water. Snow glowed pallid beneath the moonlight, while nearby voices still sang, echoing through the stillness. The world softened. You smile, tighten your cloak, then tread home through glistening frost. As the tavern's light fades behind you, warmth lingers long in your belly. Come dawn, last night's sail brings a faint ache to your head, yet the biting wind rouses even the deepest slumber. Pink dawn light spans the sky, heralding another snowy day. The village stirred once more, this time with purpose. Today, you journey to the winter fair, a celebration transforming the silent countryside into a whirlpool of color and scent. Following the crowd along the frozen path, your boots creaked in the ice-minus channels. Ahead, carts groaned beneath sacks of woolen jars of honey. Distant bells drift across the fields as you pull your cloak tighter against the wind gnawing at your cheek. The journey is arduous, yet no one complains, for today will be accompanied by music. Goods from distant lands meet the excitement of strangers. The medieval winter market is renowned as one of the rare occasions, a time for free trade and commerce. Even the most impoverished farmhouse has saved a few copper coins. The market is a brief eruption of liberty, a sanctioned chaos where wealth and poverty dissolve, shattering the usual barriers. Approaching the outskirts, scents assault the senses. First, the smoky aroma of chestnuts roasting over wood embers, the earthy scent of livestock dung, the fragrance of fresh bread. Then the clamor rises, the cries of merchants, the bleating of goats, the laughter of children, the rhythmic beat of drums. Stalls lined the square, their roofs sagging slightly beneath the frost's weight, lanterns casting flickering pools of golden light. You pause to observe the butcher selling steaming sausages, a woman from a neighboring village peddling bright ribbons dyed with berries, a monk hawking amulets and relics whose authenticity was hard to discern. Ancient market chronicles record curious tales. Even clergy join the clamor, peddling indulgences or relics to fund church repairs. The crowd seemed unconcerned by such hypocrisy. Acrobats stole sticks by the well, drawing cheers, a fiddler plucked a merry tune, and brave souls danced despite the chill. You found yourself smiling, your feet tapping to the beat. Children darted past, clutching precious candy canes, licking them as if they were jewels. The air was almost thick with sweetness. Street vendors displayed exotic spices at the corner: nutmeg, cinnamon, cloves, their rich fragrance intoxicating. You could scarcely believe such treasures had reached Venice, let alone appeared here. The merchant insists his sources are reliable, though his accent carries a distinct local flavor. Trade ledgers record these rare spices traveling through dozens of hands before reaching such villages. Each pinch worth a fortune. The palm reader takes a penny, prophesying, your fortune rises with the snow. The farmer's eyes gleam beneath his hat brim as the crowd continues to laugh and toss coins. The folklore it notes such women are both revered and sought after. Half healer, half entertainer. None truly believe their words, yet all listen intently. You pause to buy coarse wool, trading several handfuls of barley. The vendor nods in agreement. The paper minus wrapped transaction feels solemn, a reminder that simple exchanges sustain human bonds, that commerce possesses its own sacredness, as pure as prayer. At midday, the square swells with crowds. Amidst the unfamiliar faces, you glimpse familiar ones: the village blacksmith, his apron dusted with coal ash, the constable arguing over salt prices, a young couple shyly holding hands by the bread stall. For a moment, winter's hardships fade. The world seems broader, brighter, brimming with endless possibilities. A curious phenomenon graced medieval winter fairs: the sale of mystical trinkets, pig-shaped pottery figurines, angel shoes. People believed these charms brought good fortune, abundance, and bountiful harvests. You picked up a small bird ornament with painted wings. Its rough texture offered a strange comfort. The merchant claimed it would banish nightmares if hung above your bed. Though skeptical, you purchase it. As dusk deepens and snowflakes drift once more through the lamplight dappled air, music and laughter flow through the streets. Storytellers begin recounting tales of Saint Martin and his magical horse, drawing crowds whose faces glow crimson in the firelight. You listened quietly, letting the rhythm of the words carry you away. Scholars still puzzle over whether winter markets exist for trade or to sustain community spirit through shared imagination. Perhaps both. As the tale ended, people cheered, tossed coins, and set off home. You wrapped the new cloth tightly around your shoulders, following the crowd through darkening lanes, snowflakes crunching softly beneath your boots. Ahead, village fires cluster, smoke rising into the violet sky. Walking, you ponder how fragile yet beautiful this small world is: a few thatched cottages, scattered livestock, patches of frozen earth. Yet in these short days, it feels enough. The market may dissolve at dawn, laughter will fade, but for now, each person carries a warm spark within. Homeward, like treasured embers, you glance at the clay bird and your palm wings broken, form stuck, yet your lips curve upward and biden, knowing tomorrow's hope flickers faintly. Life will return to its ordinary rhythm, but tonight's market clamor still hums in your mind, like the lingering echo at a song's end. Reluctant to fade by tomorrow's dusk, the village pulses with renewed vitality. Warmth deepens within homes, Smoke curls through chimneys. Laughter rises. Christmas approaches, bringing with it revelry the priest strives to suppress yet can never truly contain. The festival of fools quietly commences. Jests, winks, crowns of fools grass and holly. You stand before the tavern door, watching the crowd cheer as a 16-year old boy leans over the table. Grinning, someone places a makeshift crown upon his head, and the crowd shouts, "Long live the King of Fools." He bowed exaggerated, feigning blessings upon the crowd. Overnight, order was inverted, the lowly became kings. The devout revelled. Medieval chronicles record this custom of electing a king of May spreading across England and parts of France. Though uneasy, the church tolerated it, priests calling it the poor man's pressure valve, a moment's respite from chaos before submission. Yet it often spiraled out of control, the line between harmless revelry and genuine rebellion being as thin as a spider's thread. You pass through the tavern where the scent of ale mingles with sweat and the smoky aroma of firewood. Thick as a heavy cloak, villagers crowd the tables, cheeks flushed crimson from drink. The newly crowned king of May stands atop a bench, his booming voice cutting through the clamour by the power of absurdity. "I command all to laugh." The crowd obeys, their cheers shaking the walls. By the bonfire, a peculiar ritual unfolds. The youths circle, each holding a wooden spoon, while spiced mulled ale simmers in the centre. As they take turns ladling, one must feign sleep while another attempts to steal a portion. Should the sleeper catch the thief, the latter must sing a solo lament as punishment, followed by laughter as warm as the ale itself. In a corner, two elders carved flutes from hollow reeds with astonishing dexterity. They handed one to a little girl, who timidly produced squeaks that drew the crowd's laughter. Music filled the room like sunlight. Some say music drives away evil spirits gathered round the hearth, whether he meant the dead or goblins lurking in ale-barrels. No one pressed. The church's warnings were well minus known priest often frowned upon such revelry as sacrilegious clamour. Yet even they understood that music was the very foundation of the season's humanity. When toil ruled daily life, song became rebellion. A strange tale circulated in northern villages. Musicians playing on street Stephen's Day must begin with their backs to the doorway, lest their notes summon the cold wind. Now the fiddler played fittingly, his bows weeping swiftly like snowflakes outside the window. Shadows danced wildly upon the walls, slender as if ghosts on a dance floor. Time slips away in a hazy rhythm. Amid laughter, a woman stirs soup while keeping time, her spoon marking the beat. A boy stamps his feet to mimic the fiddle. Soon even the wearied answers sway between seats. The air grows thicker, heat mingling with smoke, and no one minds this warmth but with merriment. Historians suggest these gatherings were not merely celebrations, but silent declarations of identity. Music awakened the shared identity of the poor, their hearts beating as one in winter's silence. Glancing around now, faces flushed crimson. One sensed his truth. As night fell, the violinist slowed his bow, drawing the final notes into stillness, their sound lingering like breath on glass. The room falls silent. Then someone softly hums a melody. The hymn spreads quietly, tender as a prayer. The chorus speaks of hope, not endings. Spring lies hidden beneath the frost, and you hum too, your voice fading to a whisper as the song dies away. People drift homeward, the cold wind outside still biting yet no longer cruel. A faint melody echoes from neighboring cottages, each household a miniature orchestra. Tobacco smoke drifts like ribbons through starlight, carrying the day's laughter skyward. Treading through snow on your way home, you find yourself tapping your thigh to the rhythm. The beat lingers relentlessly. A distant dog barks once, then silence returns. You smile to yourself. Half mine is humming, half mine is shivering. Scholars still debate, are these impromptu celebrations remnants of ancient pagan rituals, or humanity's innate need to fill the darkness? Whatever their origin, The echoes in the night belong wholly to such evening. The music fades, yet warmth lingers in your chest, your heart beating steadily. Slowly, reaching the door, you push it open and step into the faint glow. The dying embers flicker softly, awakening songs from memory. Sitting by the fire, eyes closed, you listen one last time before sleep to the wind's rhythm through the treetops, outside the window. That cadence, akin to a violinist's melody, carries the feast of memory into the frozen night. Dawn descended, fine rain falling like snowflakes. The fields beyond the village glowed faintly, while indoors the candle's light flickered weakly. The air held lingering traces of ashes, mingled with the faint sweetness of yesterday's beer. Christmas stretched ahead, each day a small celebration, though charity was not universally embraced. The literal truth is this: you have joined the villagers' procession to the churchyard. The priest stands by the threshold, his robe lifted against the chill, blessing each basket. The gifts within, bread, cheese, scattered coins, are distributed to the poorest household, meticulously recorded in the parish register. Every community should practice almsgiving, though the form of this Christmas ritual often depends on households' willingness to give freely after days of feasting. Merchants from neighboring towns arrive bearing sacks of dried peas and jugs of wine, met with murmurs of approval, though few whisper of it. Charity is shown with a peculiar pride. One observed a woman discreetly slipping bread into another's shoe heel, her other hand offering it without ceremony, no blessing, no words. The act swiftly completed, unwitnessed. Such gestures seemed purer, the prayer more poignant. In traditional custom, children went from door to door with holly branches, singing hymns in exchange for scraps of food and coins. This gentle solicitation reminded adults of their duty to be generous. One child's off minor ski, singing earned coins and a pie, prompting laughter that grew louder. Church bells echoed sermons preserved in monastery archives, where priests often admonish charity without humility is more detestable than greed. Yet all acknowledged that public generosity ultimately inspires others. Now alongside the villagers gathered, hands exchanged crumbs and idle chatter. Cracked palms maintained a warm rhythm, later returning to the cottage to help bake bread. The widow lived by the wood's edge. The coarse dough was heavy, imprinted with thumbprints. She said this would bring blessings. In the dim, smoke-filled cottage, a glass of pale ale was poured, and tales of youth were told, of winters colder than this, when charity meant survival. And we shared all we had, she murmured softly, for there was nothing else to divide. Researchers note by the late Middle Ages, Christmas giving had evolved into a collective obligation, yet private acts of devotional given to redeemed souls remained equally significant. Gazing upon the village today, one still senses small acts of kindness, hope and compassion intertwined beyond the doorways, the air carrying the scent of roasted nuts and pine smoke. Children chase each other through the lanes, brandishing holly sprigs. A farmer argues with his wife over how much grain to offer the church. God sees all, she said. He frowned, then nodded. Grains vanished from the sack into her apron. Others' children must be fed before nightfall. Superstition haunted the folk, refused charity, and Christmas week's bread would turn moldy. The bakers swore a miser met this fate, though no one recalled the details, whose true tale held sway. Even the sting-iced hands would loosen. Dusk's reminder the priest returned to bless the leftover food. Its scent condensed into mist in the chill air. He recounted the wise men's gifts to the Christ child. Villagers bowed their heads in the church's candlelight. The swaying bronze altar shimmered gold. For a moment, the golden reflection seemed poised to melt. The final offering at the junction of heaven and earth. Night fell. The 10-year-old girl placed a small bundle, wrapped in cloth, small bundle at the priest's feet. Inside lay a crude wooden toy she had carved herself. Hesitating, the priest knelt to touch it. "This is the finest gift," he murmured, The congregation murmured in agreement, a quiet tremor stirring somewhere within. As the ceremony concluded, the half-fired, eye-damned people trudged home through the snow. The wind stirred, carrying threads of song, walking slowly, gazing at the warm lights flickering one by one through window panes. In every cottage, a quiet feast of Thanksgiving unfolded. Historians still wonder, did these gift-minus-giving ceremonies truly lessen suffering, or merely soften winter's harsh edges? When people endure such long winters, this kindness ceases to be an abstract concept. The shared bread remains warm upon returning home. Gathered around the hearth watching the flames dance, thoughts turn to the widow and girl's wooden toys, the children's laughter and songs, the jingle of silver coins outside the door. Snowflakes continue to fall, enveloping the world in silence, in imagination. Even the silence itself held compassion. With eyes closed, the crackle of the fire became a heartbeat. Stillness like the sun, struggling to rise. Paleness dyed the sky like old linen. Before opening the door, laughter could be heard outside. Children ran through the alleyways, boots splashing the thawed water of yesterday's snow. Cheeks flushed crimson, voices clear and high minor pitched. Today belongs to them. Adults soothe their slight headaches, tending the slowly burning hearth. Young men tread the crisp air into the village, watching a band of boys chase each other. Sticks adorned with ribbons in hand, each bearing a small sack filled with festive scraps toasted bread, apples, hard candies. The day of games proceeded according to adult decree. Monastery records noting that the days between Christmas and New Year were often dominated by children's play. Young altar boys, clad in borrowed church vestments, led the procession, blessing the adults and collecting coins. At the edge of the square, several young girls were constructing a holy stable, piling straw, twigs, and pebbles. One placed a rag-minus wrapped effigy into a miniature manger. Another knelt, feigning hymns whose tremulous notes drifted away. Birds sung with soft, smiles bloomed, and hearts felt inexpressibly light. The play's final act concluded. Prayers commenced. Unusual customs gradually took shape. Children paraded through the streets carrying baskets filled with ashes, knocking on doors and chanting, "Clean the hearth, clean the heart." Women laughed and jostled as they tossed coins and nuts. If met with refusal, the children would scatter ashes. Harmless curses were hurled at doorsteps, met with shared laughter. The Yorkshire Chronicle once lamented how troublesome children disrupted Christmas's solemn air, observing the village's joyful gaze. No priest lingered at the church door, his expression torn between displeasure and amusement. Excessive laughter drew whispers, yet none was silenced, for the holy season would end. The games would fade, replaced by labor's quiet obedience. For now, let rules govern this small world. At noon, the market square buzzed as older boys staged a nativity play. Bickering over each role, the cockerel became an angel, the goat reluctantly shepherd. The performance was clumsy and comical, the boys lost in playful revelry. Queuing, another improvises a scene of peace, all bursting into laughter. The sergeant, flushed, tosses a coin. At his feet lie Irish records. Children carry the village festival's joy within them, while adults follow the saints' rites. The younger generation transforms the season into a more intimate spectacle. Games echo with laughter of free faith. Even the sternest elders soften. The sound of merriment proves irresistible. Rather, these wondrous details of folk custom. Legend has it angels roam invisibly among children, whispering mischief. Housewives claim those touched by angels have brighter eyes and crisper love. Looking around, one feels the whole village blessed by invisible visitors today. As dusk deepened and laughter faded, finer sounds emerged. Children gather in the churchyard, candles in hand. One by one, the flames in small clay cups are lit, their faces illuminated by the dim lantern light. At dusk, all joined in a simple hymn. Holy Child sleeps in the cold night. The melody, slow and melancholy, drifted on the wind through the bare treetops. Adults slipped in quietly, their hushed harmonies warming the chill night. Scholars still ponder, was the children's procession a training in religious devotion, or a rehearsal for the adults' communal rites? Perhaps both taught reverence. The children gazed at the flickering light in the darkness, as if comprehending some mystery forgotten by adults. Shared joy transcended into the sacred. When the final verse ended, the children blew out the candles. Laughter scattered like sparks, and the square fell silent. They watched the lingering wisps of smoke rise, the extinguished candles leaving behind the lingering scent of pine wet. A holy stillness returned to the air. Within the cottage, the hearth fire flickered faintly, its orange glow dancing across the embers to illuminate the room. Outside the window, the faint echoes of song gradually faded as households withdrew into the night. Upon the dining table lay a small gift tray, wooden star carving left behind by the child upon departure. A fingertip traced its rough surface, the traces of a smile were now indistinguishable. Historians might scrutinize village customs and the deeper meaning of children's games, yet these are but fragments of joy untouched by rigor. Church doctrine holds little weight. On this night, laughter and faith share the same breath, rendering the world soft and light. The shadow of the wooden star by the hearth moved gently around it in the firelight, almost as if dancing. Outside, snowflakes began to fall, fine and slow, like a lullaby. The world sat listening, until the crackling fire grew faint, its silent rhythm lulling one to sleep. The next morning, the grey sky remained mild. Breath hung heavy in the air, footsteps sounding unpleasantly sharp. The laughter of revelry fell silent, replaced by sluggish movements and hushed whispers. The first sound of waking was the faint crackle of the embers, the lingering glow of charcoal flickering. Beyond the beds, ashes. The snow lay smooth as untouched parchment. A perfect day reflected its image, yielding to the stirring embers in the hearth. A faint flame reignited, its light dancing across the room, catching the dried holly hung upon the door. The berries had darkened, yet the leaves still held their sheen, recalling how they'd been hung weeks before, watching over the winter, gazing upon miracles, strength hidden, comforting faith, quick porridge and wine. Stepping outside, the world was silent, save for the distant caw of a crow. Villagers wrapped in heavy cloaks made their way along the lane, accompanying the priest to the church. The gathering was declared not a service, but a communal prayer and storytelling, filling the void of the holy day. The atmosphere within the church was starkly different. The air at midnight mass was heavy, a blend of old waxen damp stone. People huddled in small groups by the hearth, whispering. The priest chanted, and gradually, laughter and conversation arose. Some inquired whether angels truly walked among mortals. Christ, Christmastide surging. Another swore to have seen strange lights in the fields last night. Whispers of omens, half faith, half imagination. The preserved record, an informal gathering in the small parish, evolved into a debate. Natural wonders and portents, theology and folklore, their boundaries blurred. The church taught the villagers to always believe. Feelings were a mixture, curiosity and comfort intertwined. One recounted a feast in a dream, a man in white handing out bread which turned to light. The priest nodded approvingly, calling the vision a blessing. An old woman counted, saying a blackbird flew over the cottage, refusing to depart. As it vanished, it murmured a prayer, warning, keep your eyes wide open. A few nodded in agreement, others smiled kindly. Curious whispers spread, and people began saying, no dreams will come. In these empty days, Christ means every illusion carries meaning. Seek the message. Doubtful dreams attempt to speak. Conversations drift with time's magic. Some mention ancient belief. Holly leaves banish witches, burned at sunrise. Others claim church bells dispel wandering souls. For 12 days, the priest frowns, interrupting, well minus versed in its mysteries. He publicly challenges centuries minus old tradition. Centuries later, scholars observe medieval peasants oft unwitnessed, a living world where conflicting faiths and folk tales coexisted. Angels, ghosts, blessings, curses all form the tapestry in the room where truth is felt. Candlelight listens to the burning of daylight. The priest brings bread and cheese. A simple meal evolves into debate. Family gathers for sermon. Laughter and merriment abound. Stories flowed. Saints wore humor. The pastor recounted tales of Reeves' donkey's bray. Sinners roared with laughter. Even the priest chuckled softly. Twilight fell early. The first snow faintly blew. The dusk fading. Villagers tread the chill air, exhaling rising wisps of cold mist. Some carry candles. Others hold torches. A procession forming naturally, without command. They march in step along the path, softly singing Christmas carols, praying for warmth and kindness to endure the long, cold winter. The singing fades. The crowd disperses. Some head for the hearth. The echo of closing doors lingering briefly in the village's growing stillness. Gazing at the last flickering candle, frost minus covered window panes. The velvety sky deepening. The first snowflakes drift down. Scholars say festive gatherings are collective healing, weaving faith to sustain daily life, whether truly healing or not. The approaching miracle is met with murmurs of doubt. Shared safety makes the journey home slower. Boots crunch through snow, creaking as they reach the cottage. Holly minus adorned doors sway in the breeze, whispering. Secret fires die down, kneeling to stoke the embers, watching flames leap life's fleeting moment, hearing distant murmurs beyond the window, voices from afar, recalling the old woman, the blackbird, the man's dream, glowing bread, silent questions, flames flicker faintly, faces emerge, stories attempt to speak, lingering light, reaching for residual warmth, feeling the final tension. Daylight slips away, air thick with wood smoke, faint pine resin, thoughts sink, thick snow settles on the roof. Whatever waits beyond winter's end, indoors is safe. Days begin to blend. Dawn descends softly. Air thickens. Mist. Crows echo. Bare trees at the wilderness's edge stir. The hearth crackles. Smoke minus filled air. Christmas ends. Stretches. Voices call. The 12th minus day feast. Silence. Work begins. Stepping outside. Cloak tightly wrapped. Frost clings to branches. Roofs glisten. Dappled sunlight. The village grows quieter. The world, at rest, stirs with noise. Children chasing snow. Laughter fading. Dogs barking lazily. The cold wind surges, yet brings a sense of peace, almost making one forget the hardships to come. The 12th day of the old calendar. Christmas. The sacred gap in time and space. The old year fades. The new year begins. Work is forbidden, people fill the void. Food and prayers. Small rituals. Farmers hold firm belief days harbor benevolent forces. Spirits roam freely. The future is shaped by small deeds. The cottage's rhythm sustaining the celebration. Gatherings ease. Families sit close. Embers reignite. Bread softens. The hearth fire flickers. Ale grows thin. Final laughter flows freely. Memories overflow. Festive songs. Most moving. The final hymn concludes. Hunger slumbers. Autumn's oblivion. Strange customs reappear. Dawn's first light. Figures huddle by the fire, whispering blessings. Flames guard warmth. Kindness. Spring's swift return foretells fortune. Smoke darkens. Warning of illness's turn. Morning breaths hold. Watching flames leap erratically. Life's sigh of release. The priest visits daily, reminding folk to balance celebration with gratitude. Bringing saints. Tales of miracles, told in measured tones, lulling listeners to drowsiness. Glances towards the door. Thoughts of household chores. Prohibitions. Scolding all-knowing faith needs rest. Evening prayers. Neighbors in groups traversing houses. lanterns in hand, carved turnips, singing off-minor ski ballads, farmhouses, verses adding forgotten beer flowing into the procession. The cold wind stings cheeks as boys march forward, ringing bells, songs echoing across frozen fields, clear and bright, medieval records of night patrols, devout service, prankster singers blessing homes, begging for drink, threatening souls, sorrow turning to half-minded enchantment, challenging villagers to wish good fortune, always offering bread, deer, a little fat, walking on fire, leaving tracks in the snow, starlight twinkling above, sharp clouds parting, new hymns setting forth, unheard choruses warmth conceals chill, kindness buries loss, melodies linger in the heart, fading sounds, strange traditions, following the homeward sleepers, breaking bread, dipping in beer, outside the window, wandering spirits walk the night, the dead visit for 12 days, checking the family's true faith, those who dare forget set out offerings. Scholars say bread placed on the windowsill extends the festival, perhaps for joy. The year's end brings uncertain times. People gaze anxiously into the unknown night's firelight. Music dispels fear, watching flickering candlelight. Truth is sensed by the window. On the fifth night, the rhythm shifts, laughter fade. Songs grow sparse. All falls silent, awaiting their tasks. As the holy day approaches, fields are tilled, tools sharpened, debts settled, yet feet shift restlessly. Brief respite. Fragile pockets of time belong to those who sleep equally. Stepping outside, snow has ceased. Moonlight spreads a silver path. Fields bear faint traces. Smoke rises from rooftops. Heartbeat village, crisp wood scent, frost minus bit and chill. In an instant, the world seems to hold its breath. Scholars debate the 12 days, true unity, festival patchwork, old customs stitched through the century, regardless of origin, all reach perfection, reminding people that in the darkest years, life pauses. At dawn, return indoors, settled by the hearth, on the windowsill, bread remains untouched, gazing at the smaller ones. Something accepts the offering. A thought, a smile, a shiver, eyes closed, listening to the breezes whistle. Chimneys, the outside world waits patiently, frozen in kindness. Dawn breaks, windless, awake to the sound of hooves cracking the frozen path. Looking out the narrow window, a procession approaches from the east. Riders in fringed cloaks, banners drooping in the cold wind. Suddenly recognizing the Lord's arrival, villagers hastily on their thickest cloaks, gathering before their doors, cheeks crimson minus frozen yet brimming with excitement. The Lord's retinue rides ahead, horses snorting steam, armor glinting in the dim light. Wheels creak beneath the grey sky. Gifts piled high meats, flour, wine. At the center sat a figure, a heavy blue woolen cloak, gloved hands resting on knees, smiling, his very presence commanding reverence. History records the Lord's 12-day circuit of villages bestowing favors, reminding tenants of their duties, exchanging gifts for rent, quietly accomplished, blessings dispensed, authority reaffirmed. Benevolence often wears a political cloak. Velvet priests bowing deeply to the procession. Villagers followed, all kneeling low. A woman murmurs, "My husband has tilled the Lord's fields for years, yet never witnessed such splendor." The steward extends a small hand, distributing scraps of coin and cloth. As people reach out, gratitude and resentment intertwine, a curious custom unfolding in the breath of the moment. The Lord dismounts, the steward presents a round loaf sprinkled with salt, a symbol of peace. The Lord breaks the bread and shares it among the crowd, who cheer. Though this ritual was routine, villagers swiftly hid half their loaves, fearing confiscation. The Lord's retinue stamped their feet outside for warmth, listening to the muffled music within. Servants brought trays of leftovers. Villagers received roast meat, bread, and watered minus down wine. For most, It was a rare taste of winter's generosity. This moment of generosity seemed sincere, yet all knew the price would eventually be paid. Kentish peasants seized the Lord's visit, plead for favours, permission to gather firewood, remission of rent arrears, even an extra acre of land. The Lord nodded gravely, his promises perhaps offering them respite. Witnessing this scene today, the peasants knelt step by step, hats clasped in hands as they listened, faint smiles playing on their lips. I shall consider it was as good as consent. The atmosphere shifted abruptly as musicians took the stage. Violinists and drummers stood in pairs. Music swelled. Children clapped. Villagers formed a circle and danced. Snowflakes drifted down. From the doorway, a gaze watched, expression unreadable, perhaps already moved. The music tossed a coin, a boy caught it mid-minus air, and cheers erupted. The square suddenly filled with laughter, a peculiar superstition circulating. Whoever first caught the Lord's coin would have good fortune all year. The winter boy's mother pressed her lips together, hastily rummaging in her pocket. Bring back good luck. Bring back pride. As dusk deepened, the Lord remounted his steed. Villagers bowed. Their hearty cheers carried on the wind. Scattered straw and ribbons danced upon the ground, the blue cloak billowing in the breeze. The procession grew distant, vanishing into the white haze of the horizon. The crowd dispersed. Only the priest and constable remained, still counting the scattered coins and flower promises to repair the church roof, now futile. They gazed at the fleeting return home, boots heavy with snow. The scholar pondered, had the Lord's visit been a performance of benevolent governance, a reminder that barren lands might truly lie in the fading hoof-rifts. The horses sensed gratitude, intertwined threads of dependence. The world returned to the thatched cottage, where a faint hearth fire warmed the cloak. The window panes whimpered softly, echoing the violin's drifting melody. Memories mingled as the Lord's coin glinted in the air. Rich and poor, hungry and full, music seemed to belong it. Equal around the hearth, the last light faded. Somewhere, church bells tolled from window frames. A hollow murmur marked time's passage. Closing eyes, the rhythm sank into the chest. A moment's vision, fields toward fields. The Lord rides past. The crowd bows. Time circles round and round. Life carries on in quiet, stubborn beauty. The morning chill deepens. The sky lowers like a heavy silver screen pressing down on the roofs. Frost sparkles on the window panes. A faint scent of smoke drifts in the air. Hear, see, the sound rises. Harmonies flow. The choir moves lightly. Hoods pulled tight. Shoulders hunched. Villagers gather. Lanterns dim. Lanterns faint. Carrying small cups and water jugs. Waiting to be gifted to households. Singing. Walking. Notes bright and clear. Huddled. Shoulders drawn tight. Villagers flock towards the church. Lanterns dim. Fireflies faint. Small cups and jugs at the ready. Gifts for households. Singing. Walking. Notes clear and bright. Echoing off frozen walls. Boots keep rhythm. Familiar parish accounts. Hymns. Blessings. Prayers. Singers offer hopes. Next year's return anticipated. Symbolic bread. Nail copper coins. Refusing adventure. Misfortune. Reputation. Singing at the feast. The people call the saint. The hungry join the procession. Halting before the cottage door, the eldest woman raises her lantern. Its light spilling over the queue. Calls and greetings rise as the procession begins to sing, weaving threads of melody. The door opens, family emerge, smiling, holding mugs of ale and cloth miners wrapped loaves. Warm liquid is poured and passed, amber miners colored, shimmering, cold, yet enchanting. Local verses and hymns carry secret wishes first, for health second, for wealth third, peace, lastly love. Listen to the melody of wishes, soft hopes rising, air minus pre-procession, moving away with laughter. Inside, the farmer joins, voices booming through, startling birds and trees. Children run. Bell minus ringing squad. Giggling boy stumbles. Scattering breadcrumb. Snowflakes swiftly help gather the smallest losses. Feeling worth mending. Tonight fragments of verse in the monastery library songs. Clemmer. Laughter semi-minus forbidden tales the priest complains of villagers hens mingle. In the tavern turning to revelry and worship people refuse to stop holy joy thence. At unribboned singers flushed crimson the clink of icy drinks. Melody fills the air, heard through winding lanes. Fields hazy yet distinct. Human warmth pierces frozen distances. Villages seem to glow at doorways. Women invite entry to cozy cottages. Apple smoke lingers as if spiced bread is offered, its surface glistening with honey. Special verses are recited in thanks, meant to guard the home from illness. Bonfires, and be God's mercy, resting in benevolence, singing to guard the hearth, wiping away tears, coins pressed into palms. Curious superstition, the singer forgets the final verse. Seasonal spirits visit, dreams instruct true faith. The youngest insists, recalling a certain word, a childish yet solemn voice piercing the crowd. Candlelight dims, snowflakes begin to fall, fine as flour. Lanterns glow brighter. The congregation, the church, the final chime rings softly. The melody slows. Joy turns to reverence. The last note lingers in the air. The final voice fades to silence. Historians speculate this medieval village hymn, like stitches mending a fragile community, is heard in the resonance. The fading echo touches truth. The warmth of song lingers. Skin bears witness. Even the barren nest soul can nurture beauty. The singers disperse. The sound of snow muffles the homeward path. Only the crunch of boots on snow remains. Lanterns sway in doorways. A softer lullaby drifts from cottages. The Ritanice, it's by the hearth, lights a small candle. By the window, mother, the flickering flame casts a golden glow. Outside, snow falls silently, endlessly, sipping ale. The singer closes eyes, honeyed smoke lingering on the tongue. Its echo unspent. Scholars sing time's script, answers of worship and rebellion. Eternal sound. Voices rise against the cold, defying silence, rousing night's vitality. Morning snow melts to thin ice. Dawn light shatters like glass. Sunday air grows sharper, more crystalline. On this day of vows, villagers gather at the ancient stone cross square, pledging peace. Year after year, coughs and murmurs echo between frozen walls. Festival prayers, ancient and solemn rites, bind neighbors together. The long winter will end wrapped cloaks tight and join the slowly moving crowd. The cross stands at the village center, its base smoothed by generations of palm. Snow covers its edges, frost flowers flake away. The watchers, holding holy books, appear fragile. Cold air swirls, breath condenses into mist. The sacred memorial ceremony, the centuries' harsh winter veil. Households gather to confirm allegiance to Lord and Church. In another way, fragile peace is renewed. After weeks of feasting, the crowd forms a circle, hands raised in silent prayer. Voices pierce the cold silence, solemn and profound. Names are recited, calling family members forward to place their hands upon the icy stone cross, frost pricking their skin. Keep the peace, the vow repeated, bestowing warmth upon others through whispered fervor. With fervor and curiosity, the tradition continues. The ritual oath, grains of salt placed upon the cross's base. Salt grains precious, brought by families to preserve food and faith. Holy water drips, hissing in the cold air. Villagers gaze, silent, faces pale. The grey, hazy sky. An old man, unsteady on his feet, leaning on his staff, hesitates before speaking. His voice thin yet firm. Words of peace spread. The crowd slowly nods, recognizing the truth. Upon hearing the scriptural vows, a light-hearted atmosphere declares shared wishes. Breaking bread symbolizes friendship. Women air loaves by the warm hearth. East fragrance filling the square. Neighbors exchange slices, clasping hands as fortune passes. A simple yet profound bond, an enchanting superstition unites the customs. In the village where bread is shared, the cross stands as a symbol of sincere peace. Last year's quarrels, the lies crumble into fragments as the loaf is broken. With the care of sowing season, slices are cut cautiously, testing the blessing. The voices of the crowd fade. The ceremony ends hastily. Yet people linger, reluctant to depart. Children chase falling snowflakes, their crisp laughter echoing through the air. Men begin clearing frozen wells, the rhythmic tapping of wooden poles on ice filling the silence. Vows recorded in church registers. People believe winter holds special power. Frozen words lock warmth tight, now gazed upon. Believe. The speaker's breath becoming rising mist. Promises gradually dissipating among the crowd. The ritual endures, gathering residual salt. The pedestal cross, cloth wrapping, laying the robes. Salt grains blessing the fields, sowing seeds linking peace. Hoping spring's cycle continues, lingers longer. Palms glide over stone, its rough chill steadying thoughts. Hands that touched thousands, the lingering warmth left behind, strangely reassuring. Modern historians note that ritual faith sustains small communities. A single family feud could shatter fragile lives. Oaths, half spiritual, half practical, remind people that cooperation is a necessary choice. Gazing upon neighbors' faces, sensing the afternoon clouds gradually tinged with gold. Footsteps returning home, snow crunching beneath foot, smoke rising lazily from chimneys. The village appearing tranquil in the cold. A hearth glows within, waiting, sitting, rubbing hands, thinking of shared bread. Spoken words bearing divine power, feeling the solid, small warmth. Outside, the chill, the wind sighs softly. The eaves sound like a warning. I promise to wait. Evening descends. The air grows heavy, oppressive. The snow beneath foot muffles sound. Breath. The bonfire flickers. At the village's edge, lights turns to frosted gold. Night veils its face. Nightlife disguised its shoals. Villagers exchange masks. Names blur. Darkness wanders. Year after year. Masquerade procession. Square. Cloaks brush snowdrifts. Tar smoke lingers. Amen lights torches. Alleyways. Crowds gather. Laughter soft. Hazy. Rough stage erected. Plank barrels and baskets sway with splendid rhythm. Dragging torches. Some beat drums gathering. Local chronicles record masked theatre. Sacrificial plays performed at Christmas. Year's end. Actors portray life's cycle. Clumsy yet miraculously resurrected. The clamour awakens all. Knowing customs traced to Christ's tale. Whispers of sin and redemption linger. Ancient traditions forgotten. Winter rites begin. First actor steps forth, cloaked in old cape, face reversed, eyes dusted with soot. A theatrical bow elicits laughter. Good night, cries unite friend and foe. Tonight the dead awaken, reminding the living how to endure. Applause erupts at this theatrical spectacle. The masked performers never reveal their true names. Their costumes embody the king, the fool, the knight, the devil, and the doctor. Flaws in character invite misfortune. The fool clumsily dances, tinsel bells jingling at his waist. The devil brandishes a pitchfork, howling as he enters. Children hide between their parents' legs. Laughter a sigh of relief. Chaos erupts as the tale unfolds. The knight boasts of value. The devil challenges the king to a duel. Soon he lies sprawled in the snow. The crowd gasping. All knew the doctor would appear, bearing a pouch of herbs. He declared, "This man is truly dead," and the crowd poured down the reviving potion. As the ale touched his lips, violent convulsions shook him. Then the fallen man leapt to his feet amidst thunderous cheers. A Paul's survival script, mime performance, resurrection moment. Soulful interpretation, humorous hope, promise of winter, coldest winter day lives. Return watching understanding story continues laughter faith survivals. With torches faint light wondrously amusing strange occurrence fool turns to priest standing crowd. Fourth smile blessing father fools shout committed. It's an advancing audience erupts laughter. Head minus shaking laughter. Sacred boundaries. Ridiculous melting. Villagers spontaneously joining. Scarves torn off. Mask sweeping. Circle improvisation. Pretending to wander as ghosts. Demanding bare portions. Actors responding. Feigned blessings. Sprinkling snow holy water. Scene collapsing. Laughter filling. Minor chaos. Spiritual radiance. Scholars debating the collective charm of mime entertainment. Despair portrays death's revival. Villagers dispel fear's farce. Taming demons. Jest. Mocking death's set. Torches swaying reveal truth's breath. Faces shimmering with shifting light. The village belongs to joy's finale. Crowds clap. Scattering breadcrumbs and nuts. Paint minus covered masks glisten with sweat as performers bow. As the first snowflakes fall, the drum beat resounds. People stamp out a warm rhythm on the open ground. Fools led the wild whirl. Bells jingle as the procession fades. When the torches burn out, every household departs through the snow. Smoke lingers on the stage. Actors remove their masks, smear themselves with soot, and transform into ordinary farmers tending their flocks. A neighbor conjures magic, reversing doubtful history. Scholars trace drama's ancient roots, pagan rites, rustic humor, and clear voices of life offer laughter. Seeking defiance, feigned death remembers living. Homeward night echoes drumbeat, snow boots creak. Air strangely clear, washes laughter. Pausing at the door, the last torch burns steadily, its faint flame unwavering. The night flickers like a breath, a stubborn heartbeat. Outside the village, overnight snow softens into muddy slush. The dim sky flickers, awakening familiar scents. The hearth's sweet bread aroma cooks the air. The cottage murmurs with women's voices, intertwined with birdsong. The men go out to tend the livestock. The wives manage the household. Cinnamon-scented idle chatter rise. Stepping outside, the cold bites. The women walk briskly, skirts gathered tight, hands flushed red, needing unscrubbing. Festive labor eases, yet men's toil knows no end. The hearth stains the village's pulse, bread leavens. Stew simmers, warmth keeps vigil. The women who keep the accounts guardians of this medieval hamlet. The hearth's long edges time the rhythm of the priest's sermon, the beat of the bubbling cauldron, the turning of the seasons, invisible toil, the pulse of history, the beat of life. Crowds gather round the hearth in the cottage, air thick with steam, laughter rising. Bubbles churn in the center of the cauldron, fragrance wafting mutton, onions, herbs. A young woman sprinkles salt, scattering affection and laughter. The elder, hair flecked with grey, stows, patiently answering questions with playful banter. The woman adds ingredients, praising virtue, strength, goodwill, fortune, health. The stew transforms into sustenance, its magic lingering. They say all who partake receive blessings. In spring, a man insists, refusing to share the pot's simmering contents. Laughter turns to tales. Grandmother recalls Christmas Eve, the sky's shimmering light, the church star dancing, little suns twinkling. The goose laid a perfect round egg. At dawn mass, the priest proclaimed a miracle. The third, pragmatic soul murmured, probably frozen solid by now. Laughter rippled through the house. Parish records, courtrooms aware of women's lives, forgotten domestic spaces, idle chatter, unrestrained songs, overheard by the eavesdropping clerk's rebuttal, gloom minus bound village rumors, sinful survival hastening information's flow, the constable's order, eternal superstition surfacing, bread emerging from the oven, dough tapped 3 times, crackling crust split, hunger dispelled, hunger. The gatekeeper murmurs a brief incantation, breath, stay full, stay kind, stay safe. feel older. Prayers recited. Children humble. Rooms echo with laughter. Scramble for food. Dodge. Pretend scolding. Little girl drops crumbs into ashes. No one stops her. Carries on eating. Shouts. Laughter. Life. Living. Anything. Fire crackles. Echoes. Afternoon fades. Men return. Snowshoes crunching. Drawn by the stew's fragrance filling the room. Amidst clamour, bowls are served. Bustle ceases. Seats are taken. Smiles exchanged. Flavors praised. Awareness dawns that the meal carries whispered blessings. Hidden vapors. Centuries later, scholars studying village customs remark the kitchen is a temple. The church a hearth. Decisions made by firelight. Covenants. Minor rebellions. Recipes passed down. Gazing up to night. Grasping truth. Laughter holds authority. The table preaches. Children drift into dreams. Faces warmed by the hearth. Men step outside. Smoke swirling. Discussing fields and taxes. Those indoors linger. Murmuring thoughts. Questioning the year ahead. Praying for harvests. Answers depend on memory. Singing work songs. The eldest woman approaches the hearth. Scattering dried herbs. Green flames flicker like heartbeats. Whispers of health. Nods of agreement. Faces glowing with enchanted light. The foundation of faith. The shape of hope. The outline of habit. Outside, the wind howls. The eaves are cold, but the fire drowns the chill. Inside, conversation weaves through the crackling flames. The history struggles to define. Custom and superstition. Practical wisdom. Disguised allure. Things that work. Meals that fill the belly. Stories that warm the soul. Laughter echoes in the dark. Finally, pots wash clean. Flames subside. Stepping out into the night. Smoke minus laden air. A faint glow by the window. The embers of the oven. Guarding the cold. Walking through the village at night. Thoughts churn like a simmering pot. Laughter is the tenacity sustaining life. Dawn's grey gloom oppresses the field. Frost turns the earth to stone. Rivers lie dormant beneath thin shells. Upon awakening, an eerie stillness. Heavy yet peaceful laughter. Night recedes. The village moves sluggishly. Energy depleted. The weight of the holy season. Amidst ordinary hunger's weight. Opening the door. Cold air assaults the face. A scene dry and bone minus chilly. Pictures. Shadows tinged blue minus white. Neighbors carrying firewood. Wood scraping frozen earth. Water wending cautiously. A reverential dread shatters the dawn stillness. Parish records silently chronicle the sanctity of celebration. A world of silent blessing and burden. Time suspended. Calling for breath. Heaven. The earth rests, so years beginning. Gazing at wisps of smoke rising. Feeling the deep, lingering breath of the cottage hearth. Firewood struggles to survive. Sitting still. Listening to the crackle warmth across the face. Fingertips scent the mingled odor of ashes and damp wool. Sip water from the cup, its taste faint yet mellow. Curiosity fills the fast minus paced stillness. People speak little. Lost in contemplation of what time gives and takes. Transformed into custom and law. The priest says silence pleases God, thought sweetness to the feast. Resolve to follow. Letting thoughts wander. The tip of the tongue reaches towards the window outside. A woman sweeps the threshold. Dust crossing the threshold with care. Ancient words say, sweep away yesterday's dust, and the year's fortune will follow. The broom sweeps slowly, gently across the face. A small ritual of calm focus holds the world together. At noon, snow begins to fall softly, endlessly blurring boundaries. Roofs and fields blend into monotonous, silent plains. Children huddle by the hearth. The streets are deserted. The clamor and arguments of the entire village curl into a long sigh. Stepping outside, boots sink into fresh snow. Footsteps echo loudly in the emptiness. A small figure appears. At the churchyard, the widow had visited earlier, scattering breadcrumbs. Flocks of birds flutter. their wings like dark clouds brushing the back of her hand. The smallest bird eats, murmuring softly. Her voice is delicate. The monk century minus old chronicle records villagers believed days spent feeding creatures brought blessings. The giver said creatures carry blessings aloft, wings are the true horizon. Widow. Birds feel the words of prayer. Light fades. Time to depart. The sky glows crimson. The sun sinks. Tree shadows and stars appear. The trembling horizon. The half-fired eyes. Embers glow faintly. Burning. Buried rubies. Kneeling. Stirring. Gazing at the dancing embers. A subtle, luminous tenderness. Tradition accompanies the night. Sleeping family. Burning bundles of herbs. Rosemary by the hearth. Memory sage. Powerful holly branches. Guarding against misfortune. Smoke fills the air. A sharp, crisp scent. Closing eyes to breathe. Imagining the dispelling of stale years. Scholars ponder the remnants of custom. Traces of more ancient solstice rites. Stripped of pagan names, meaning. Debating the purity and solace of action. Tracing sensations back to their origins. Stillness reborn. Utterly still. Outside. Roofs. Fences. Fields covered. The moon rises pale and cold. Turning silver. Sitting. Thoughts fading. Empty. Quiet. Calm. Gazing. Waiting. Finding some peace. Silence like a soft quilt envelops the sleeping body tomorrow. Clamor returns song. Labor. Endless cycle existence silence. Lies by the hearth pulls the shawl tight shoulders. Embers faint glow half minus light. Half minus shadow listening. Slow rhythm wind rustles. Sand whispers birds. Distant church bells ring return to silence things. The historian's speculation. Daytime stillness. Deliberate piety. Pure exhaustion. Earned repose. Flames extinguished. Dark night. Lingering herbal scent. Sweet smoke. Eyes closed. Feeling warmth. Utterly. Let islands cradle sleep. Morning light. Thick mist envelops. Blurring the outlines of fields. Cottages. Church spires. Floating islands. Grey ocean footsteps, breath moist air heavy, with smoke melting stillness, fragile sharp sounds. Shatter the holidays, soon to fade, slowly returning labor. Heyday long old creed, superstition, cottage dwellers, observing omens, dawn, cautious ice flames, burn pure bread of destiny cracks, open of unsomeone has fall, and mill neighbors interpret omens. The slightest signs. Barking dogs. Broken pots. Wind direction. Sounds. Foolish lives. Hanging with abundance. Hunger signs. Worth noting. Early chronicles. Last Christmas known. Superstition. Villagers believe. Goes minus like luck. Disaster. New year begins. Priest preaches nonsense. Inspects dripping wax, the habit of sermons probes deeper into omens. Doctrine deeper still. The farmhouse fire burns crookedly. Kneeling. Stirring. Murmuring swift blessings. Mother taught it must burn evenly. Must burn gently. Years slip from lip. Prayers remembered. Flame steady. Listening. A faint smile. Small comfort. The reason shall be explained later. At dawn. Villagers gather by the well, murmuring, voices heavy and solemn. The pot cracks at night. The family cow gives milk. The omen is taken away, shaking its head, spitting out no. Murmurs of dread nurture truth. The priest passes, sprinkling holy water, curious at the traditional drama unfolding. People depart, bread and cheese left on the threshold. Twilight delights the unseen spirits guarding the homestead, warding off misfortune. Food runs out, dawn arrives. Fortune follows, yet it angers the invisible guest. Breadcrumbs are placed. Footsteps, light yet anxious. Daylight lingers. Accidents multiply. Twist and talk breed mishap. A woman falls. The bowl shatters. Children witness dead birds beneath the doorframe. A carriage loses a wheel on the icy road. Whispers of turning points, profound meaning. Some say the world trembles, thus begins to be recorded. Collections of parish folklore. Farmers believe the earth speaks, listening day and night. Midnight claims to hear sighs and murmurs. Words from the depths of snowfall astonish. Real people only hear the cracking eye, imbuing meaning. Thoughts linger into the late night. Twilight descends, the sky opens. Striped golden pathway, churchyard, final wreaths hanging low. Melting children build snowmen, pebbles, straw, skewed heads, tilted ground, listening beneath the secret. Chilled evening, sunlight dimming, chimneys rising skyward, windless, waveless, baking aroma faintly sweet. Baked apples, family feast concludes. Years swiftly pass, commencing to flow. Glimpsed by window, family hands clasped, heads bowed, silent. Strange superstition lingers. The hour draws near. All sit in silence. Year's end approaches. Perhaps whispers heard. Next year's cough foretells illness. A visitor knocks. Faint chimes. Marriage decisions. Listen intently. Curiosity. Seated by the fire. Let village sounds fade. Moments pass. All is still. Ticking grows faint. Chilled eepens. Wind whispers softly. Thatched cottage. Stream. Door opens. Distant laughter. Neighbor's curiosity. Scholar's perplexity. Superstition reflects true faith, bestowing order upon an uncertain world. Frost minus bale. Hunger's chance. Imagined omens grant a sense of control. Gazing into the fire's glow. Understanding warmth. The kind truth. The outside world retreats. Enveloping soft, grey spaces. Wood crackles. Clamor turns to stew. Bread on the doorstep. Waiting. Crust glisten. Wind whispers. Walls both kind and cruel. Now sleep. Whispering flames. Knowing strength. Burn brighter. Steady light. Night feels threat. Tomorrow's omen. The year of vanishing begins tonight. Listen. Let islands settle gently. First sound heard morning church bells. Low hum. Livestock stir in their pens. The scent of hay and frost. Sweet spice in the air. Damp dung. What belongs to the beast. Set blessings. Share. Bone. Road. Life. Chocolate. Step outside. Crisp crust beneath feet. Fine curls rising. Barn folk begin their toil. Porch. Faint warmth. Bowl. Grain remnants. Pinch of salt. Thanksgiving Day. Gazing upon emptiness. Solemn rites. The church's recorded annals. Farmers offering food and drink. Livestock giving thanks for labor. Customs sustained by milk. Rooted in pagan origins. Early Christian compassion. Village debates over tradition's source. Reasons sufficiently sound. Walking through the Lord's barn square. Livestock snorting and stamping hooves. Stepping into warm, damp hair. Mist rising. Brushing over ivy garlands adorned branches. Wind dripped from sheep's foreheads. Horses rubbed their coats to a sheen. Evergreen branches dipped in holy water. Latin prayers mingled with chewing sounds. Occasional impatient bleats. Centuries minus old observers recorded farmers' whispered prayers reaching livestock's ears. Blessings gazed upon as old farmers murmured to oxen, while footsteps echoed, voiced eyes seeking strength and forgiveness. Forgiveness. Yet another year passes. Children dart through the cattle pens, laughter scattering breadcrumbs. A girl feeds the family pig, soaking the bread crust. Al heralds the brothers' laughter, which follows, warmth filling the air like a match being struck. In the traveller's journal, the blessing of the beasts blurs the line between sacred and mundane, reminding us of our shared creation, dependent upon mercy, gazing upon the barn's truth. Gentle snorts in the steam, rasping beyond the straw. A man leads an ox 3 times round the church, hoofbeats and bells echoing across the field. Each circuit proclaimed protection from disease, followed by whispered prayers, swaying evergreen branches, and holy water crystal lysing into ice beads. Curious livestock lingered at the ritual. Refusal to complete the third circuit signified the creature's survival. In the winter's gaze, the oxen paced to the corner, stamping hooves and tossing heads. The master coaxes softly, his movements gentle. A sense of release quietly spreads. Whispers rise among the crowd. Fear erupts. The procession ends, returning to the barn for a shared meal: bread soaked in milk, baked apples, roasted sticks. Beer passed cup to cup. The animals taste the sweetness. A mare nuzzles her master's shoulder, nibbling apple scraps, murmuring softly, praising her good behavior, and instructs her to keep warm, ensuring ample feed. The chronicler witnesses the custom, centuries later, calling it a rural communion, understanding separation, acknowledging necessity, blessing the labor. Hands from slaughter, we gently stroke in thanks, feeling sincerity, beautiful simplicity. Afternoon light dims, the barn grows quiet, save for soft chewing. A stream murmurs outside. Snow begins slowly, yet resolutely to white the earth. Within the heavy warmth of the barn, robes damp with melting snow, the Holy One speaks softly, nodding and smiling at the animals. Historians suggest these days, rituals bear traces of ancient winter rites, reshaped by the church. Old sentiments crystallize into words. Thoughts of mercy become habit. Truth or not, a weighty sense of homecoming presses upon the chest. Arriving at the cottage, one finds a meagre offering. The house gets cooled by the hearth. Half-minus, lidded eyes purring contentedly to the crackle of logs. The cat sniffs slightly, listening, while faint murmurs drift from the roof. In the distance, cattle slumber, white stillness, the vast and the minute, wrapped in tranquility, occasionally pausing. At dawn, leaving glazed minus like flashes, faint traces, slipping through the slats of the shutters. Hair still, yet one can still hear the murmuring stream, the tree, the sacred season, about to change. The elder murmurs by the hearth, dreams and omens, long existed. Priests bless in Latin, villagers murmur. By day, gods walk unseen, boots off, stepping on frost. Thin ice cracks, church bells ring, calling to worship. People move. On the road, faces turn towards the woods, gazing at something that will never appear, filled with unfear. The surviving chronicles. The church once tried to banish. Pagan echoes, customs, what truly vanished roots still cling underground, nourishing memory. Villagers light secret bonfires. Trees whisper, leaving offerings. Priests' eyes follow the wild. At dusk, the village freezes. Streams run cold. Crowds gather. Stumps charred. Old torekeepers hold grain cups, wine goblets. Young feet stumble, tumbling before the ground. Whispered words, murmurs, all folly, scattering crumbs, seeds, across snow-minus covered field. Afterwards, in a chest, a curious medieval legend recounts nocturnal spirits. The old world summons the wild hunt galloping across the sky, seeking warmth, worshipping anyone who hears the hoofbeats, seeking the abducted, unless they fall face down, murmuring prayers, gazing half-minus, expecting movement. Grey cloud, churning the sensation, vividly passing through the morning, feigning awareness where snow circles, beer poured, telling tales of saints stemming storms and beast stories, fold ancient fears into safer fall, acknowledging what reason dismisses. God created forest, shrugged with disdain, hidden cottages, evergreen garlands adorning windows, protection, children press mistletoe apples, tie knots for charms, mischief scents fill rooms, sharp and sweet, chanting ancient verses, guarding the hearth's bright light, shadows, words like music, pleasant superstition, lingering through the long night, saying they'd stay awake till dawn. Evil spirits harm the household, light extra candles, till tales to pass the time, join the hearthside gathering. The elder recounts tales of frozen rivers. The traveller's heart trembles. Memories of years dare interrupt. Light laughter melts the spring. Scholars study medieval religion. Hearthside tales blur the boundaries. Sacred forbidden speculation. A world where faith and heresy coexist. Trust sustains warmth and peace. Listening, understanding, acquired beliefs. Bones quiver in the wind. Window frames rattle. Thatched roofs hum softly. Candlelight flickers. A glimpse of the half-minus open door. Secret anticipation. The dog whimpers softly. Ears pricked. Listening, the wind subsides. Gentle growing thicker. Adding wood, flames leap. Golden light overflows. Sipped war mail. Sweetness fills the chest. Momentarily forgetting fear. Remember warmth still lingers. Uncertainty. Historians. Surviving customs. True pagan rites. Peasant poetry. Stories shaping meaning. Winter darkness. Regardless of origin. A reminder. Faith. Wears a mask. Belonging. Human hope. Life returning. Sleep. Night. Opening the door. Snow glows faintly. Moon still hums. World breathe. Leave a small candle. Threshold trembles cold. Whispers half minus remembered childhood. Light flickers out. Stand watching wind. Carry away breath. Closed door. Inner light seeps out. Frame casts fine lines. Golden floor feels protective. Fragile truth lies by the hearth. Listen. Forest beyond the window. A soft sigh. Profound. Ancient gods exist, keeping their distance. Contentment. The morning of memory. The sky's canopy suddenly unfurls. Color roses. Pale gust spreads to the horizon. Stilled. Breath held. Dawn awakens. The scent of smoke. Distant metal striking metal. Outside. The farmer prepares the plow. Plow tools. Monday. The fields are blessed. Soon to break the soil. The plowing of hope. The chill of footsteps. Cloaks wrapped tight. The faint glow of the fields. Silver furrows glisten. Before the church. Hands cradle the wooden plow handle. Smooth from years of youth. Water spills from clay bowls as they walk. Breath steaming in the air. May's labor is light. The harvest's weight heavy. Tones weary yet solemn. Medieval farming manuals record blessings for the plow. The symbol of Christmastide. The holy day arrives. Labor ends. A new season begins. The farmer feels awe, yet hesitates. Labor is a lifelong grind for survival. After the rites, curiosity follows as priests bless the young. The smallest drag decorated paths, trailing ribbon minus bound houses. Greenery adorns the doorways. Boys clad in rags, bright cloths, shake bells, summoning blessings upon the lintels. Returning villagers offer coins, praying for bounty. Those who refuse are threatened with plough furrows carved into their doorsteps. The cruel the villagers' laughter revive. Rough ballads echo across the frozen land, deep and joyful voices trailing behind. Children dash through splashing water, pretending to guide an unseen herd. Rhythmic chants, simple yet infectious, may the gods grant good seed, good children, and bountiful harvests. Joy abounds, miracles multiply. Young women gather carrying bundles of seed and rope, whispering as they sow, sowing amulets. The year's seed vanishes. White fields devour frost, nourishing the earth before nourishing itself. Whispers linger on ancient paths. Churches record wandering monks. Villagers mark ploughing down steps. Prayers mingle with mischief. Mouth dances. Animal spirits stomp the street, awakening slumbering soil. Neighbors mimic the stomping. Waving tend arriving branches, their breath rising smoke. Laughter echoing in silent dawn light, feigning insight or understanding. Only faith awakens the fields. Hope requires rhythm. A ritual of laughter. Stored wooden bodies gleam with melting light. Villagers gather in the tavern, humming contentment over hot soup. Conversation turns to plans. A year of spring floods. A bountiful barley harvest. Men abate frost dates. Women exchange gossip. Calves stubborn. Husbands curious, shared whispers, say the first furrow crooked, harvest wavering, difficult pronouncements, severing thaw, serious nods, murmurs, the plough line crucial, heart guiding, sentiments lingering, gentle chronicler, century describing marriage, faith laboring, gazing, revering, distant saints, soil beneath, blessings, hands blessed, dusk's first light, pale blue softness, dead drops slipping from toes, eavesdropper, filled with faint notes, spring strolls along field ridges, boot soles sinking into forward crusts, beneath drifting coal, fertile promises, pausing before fences, gazing at smoke curling from chimneys, distant isolated church doors, hand upon the plough handle, sunlight flickers faintly, the ploughshare glints gold as it turns, opticians debate the implement, Monday begins the Christian rite, ancient farming rituals linger, honoring the slumbering soil, perhaps the tale weaves truth, roots bind to faith, action is belief, touching the wooden earth, nurturing life, walking home through frozen ground, slow breaths for mist, fingertips stiff, beyond the fields, silent stretches, ahead, a cottage's faint glow, fire's warmth within the frost, waiting beside bread, wheat beer in a cup, tired, seated, listening, outside, faint sounds, snow melts, dripping, the earth stirs, the village awakens, soon, as usual, shrouded in ash minus like mist, silence follows, snow curls, chimneys sluggish, a thin sky, bearing different energies, holy days conclude ploughs, receive blessing long winter grins before us, single day's labour pauses daytime frolic streeting crisp cold gathering, in taverns boots stamping warmth rising laughter, bursting forth brief outburst, standing small by the table bound with dice, clay hands encircling, arguing stakes, grinning for hours, discussing rents and tithes, dice clinking, laughter frozen on stone, parish records, court rulings deemed gambling shameful, yet unavoidable festivities, churches banned ice and cards, calling them the gateway to sin, priests uncover secret games, peasants play in rebellion, bearing the cost of gambling with fate. Fate's dice are often toyed with. Curiosity stirs the scene to fever pitch. First minus round players rolled double sixes, buying another round of ale. A farmer casts lucky dice. The crowd cheers. Glasses clink. Foam splashes. Laughter proclaims divine justice. Saints' blessings be upon us. Someone shouts curses at the money bag. Beside, the dice circle forms a wrestling ring. Smooth ice makes the action perilous. Young faces barefoot. Despite exhaling clouds, the crowd counts seconds until the fall. Hands lock shoulders. Boots scrape. Brett finally toppled. Spectators erupt in applause, stamping feet, shouting victory. The victor lifts the fallen. Traveler's diary. Century minus old contest. Permanent Christmas. Proves strength, courage, unity. The defeated win respect. Display spirit. Watch the wrestlers. Truth shines in smiles. Competition intense. Brutal. Life condensed into a moment hard. Fleeting, yet filled with laughter. Women gather to play. Quieter now. Bones and pebbles tossed. Stones caught mid-minus air with practiced swiftness. Graceful attempts to join in falls. Froze. Laughter. Breath minus held cheers. Rhythmic pebbles striking the ground, filling the air with music. Women hum melodies. Playful yet solemn. A folk tradition. Winter's blessing. Carrying fortune and defeat as auspicious signs. To lose the match is to lose life. Neighbors nodding and superstitious truth. At noon, tavern doors open. Hot stews wafting. Heat and clamor. Men slapbacks. Shelled. Laugh. Inside, Miller samples. Donkey chorus, high minus bitched. Off minus ski. More delightful. Centuries minus old verses describe villagers' wages. Coins. Small favors, bread chunks, patches, gloves pledged to aid spring plowing. Shared luck doubles. Proverb says action wins. Losers laugh at winners' hands. Wagered scarves say later. The afternoon's daring lad aims at the tavern wall. Throwing small bones closest wins the ring. The old man tries his hand, but misses every throw, feigning solemnity as he declares the game over. The crowd cheers as the slide lowers, casting blue shadows. Sounds fading, warmth dissipating. Satisfied and relaxed, leaning against the wall. Cup handles in hands, supervising like overseers. Scholars debate winter aims a fleeting rebellion against authority, merely reminding the villagers that joy still dwells within hardship. Gazing at faces, sensing prayers like games, resisting the cold, the weight of labor. Finally, dice roll, songs fade, the crowd disperses. Moonlight grows faint, footprints imprinted, laughter seems to echo, slowly retreating. Hums icy cold, the soul's inner fire as moulders faintly. Sitting, listening to the reverberations, the clink of dice, rhythm rises, music wafting on the breeze. Eve smile, perhaps tomorrow frost descends, a year of hunger, a night of toil. Tonight's laughter swallowed by fate. The greatest triumph. Dawn arrives. Drizzle turns grey. Alleys slippery. Roofs dripping. Air thick with damp grass and smoke. Morning knocks. Neighbors' laughter in chorus. Moments of remembrance. Day after day. Neighbors exchange tokens of goodwill. The year truly begins. Cloaked in capes. Light footsteps fade into the rain. Children barefoot in puddles. Bundles swathed in linen. Rosy cheeks laughing shrilly. Doors open. The aroma of steaming wine and bread. Simple yet profound humanity. Local chronicles record. Peasants call it alms, though properly termed. The Lord calls banquet. Priests called it almsgiving. Villagers called it the rotation. The Lord and priest bestowed blessings. Ordinary folk bore another duty. Family ties gave way. Tables were set in the square. Sun cloth spread, piled high with small gifts, woolen mittens, small loaves, carved spoons, dried apples, shiny ribbons, smooth pebbles. People came and went, taking and giving. Guards stood watch, stacking and removing, exchanging trust and curiosity. A group of girls set down offerings. Water flows through threaded ropes, sinking halfway before being hauled up. Divine light, they exclaim. Deep within, a girl's ribbon catches an ice crystal. Sparking glass, screams and shouts herald good fortune. Gazing afar, sighs of emptiness. Warmth gathers in the tavern. Roasted onions perfume the air. Cups brim with hot cider. Passing hands. An accordion player in the corner. Melodies soft. Arguments gentle. Sharing bread in this autumn moment. Today's debts acknowledged with nods. Fair scales. Tips given with kindness. Lovely companionship. Companionship. Gifting hand-made things. Threefold return of fortune. Taking what was given. Borrowed luck escapes. Woman's hand. Making friends. Woolen gloves. Knitting. Friend. Pressing chest. Smile. Gesture. Feeling. Sacred. Sermon. Letter. Wandering monk. Small kindness. Exchange. Despised. Cause. Nonsense. Confession. Place. Feeling warmer. Village. Daytime. Door. Tightly shut. Hand. Empty watching. Understanding. Warmth. Gift. Giving. External. Slowing. Mist. Filling. Movement. Surging. Piercing. Wooden amulet. Palm shape. Bird. Rough. Meticulously carved. Journey. Proudly saying. Dashu. Reply. Feeling. Smooth. Pun. Gift. Berry. Time. Substance. Lingering. Valley. Afternoon. Fading. Seeing. Candle burning. Window. Song. Drifting. Quieter. Feast. Sincere. Melody. Sung. Women express gratitude, bread, scent, dawn, awaken, melody, think, close, circle, enchanting, happen, dusk deepening, remaining gifts, recite short prayer, grateful child, rush forward, present treasure, poo traveler, passing young girl, hands an apple, a stranger, cloaked in rags, bows to receive a gold coin. Historians debate the day's exchange, reflecting truest form, medieval charity, goodwill equaling hierarchy, giving silent understanding, worth sharing. The crowd disperses, returns, a little woodpecker, in hand, glows faintly, rain fades, soft drops beneath the eave, carved table holds bread, awaiting supper, shapes catching wings half minus spread, raised, slowly savage, tasting simple fare, feeling gentle tranquility brought by generosity. Outside, church bells mark the final twilight, the season, tomorrow's dawn, debts renewed, life's rhythm revived, village peace still held in doubt, scholars' humble custom, gifts becoming religious duty, ancient instincts persisting, truth guiding, seasonal warmth shared in vigil, firelight reflecting shadows, bird silhouettes skimming walls, wings quivering lightly, listening intently, slow heartbeat, indoor contentment and peace, outdoor stillness and slumber, morning's clarity, fine earth's scent, retreating edges reveal mottled brown soil, hidden scars slowly healing, chimney drifting first snow, steady sounds, the rhythm of axes splitting wood. After weeks of festivities, the heartbeat of homecoming begins. Farmers sharpen blades, thumbs testing the edge. Women kneel by door frames, mending broken baskets. Woven grass carries children chasing snow. Bundles of wood, bundles of grass, bundles of leisure. Frowning, focused, silent, accepting the rhythm that governs existence. Recording Christmas, even the village. As the festive season draws near, bells chime, bonfires blaze, tavern music plays. By the stream, labor continued. Wheels turn, wood cracks, boiling water hisses. Strange marks appear. Before dawn, homecoming lights are relit. Old ashes are swept away. New embers kindled. Flames leap high, foretelling the coming year. The blazed eyes swiftly. Smoke lingers. Misfortune remains. Flint strikes. Awaiting fire. Flower. Breath. Flash. Leap. Capture. Or inch. Spread. Exhale. Silence. Release. Daybreak. Frozen footsteps. Years and broken. Gleaming stillness. Water bucket. Reflection. Ghost. Flicker. Coins whisper. Wish. Strength. Say notice. Need. Spring's nod. Understanding. Perfection. Touch. Encircle. Coin. Retrieved. Season's harvest. Warmth. Later. Whoever discovers. Later. Say accept. Blessing. Wish. Weather. Believe. Vision. Gleam. Bottom. Solid. Cold. Ahead. Gather. Distribute. Winter. Task. Sound. Pierce. Thin air. Mending fences. Inspecting granaries. Repairing church roofs. Muttering. Rolling. Beneath the clamor. Shared understanding. Labor. Safety. Duty. Purpose. Rustling of fields roar. Conversation turns to song. Planning fields. Sowing first debts. Settling tools. Borrowed hammer clanged. Distant blacksmith returns. Forge sparks sleep through door. Fireflies lovely. Folk tales. Blacksmith strikes first spark. Noon village fate. Swings past workshop. Hammer minus raising hour. Sparks burst. Anvil iron bright. Surround spectators whisper. Superstitious omens. Dawn begins. Soft minus voiced pastor. Sermon book. Clergyman urges. Keep Christmas spirit. Labor returns. Toil's joy. Write down joy nourishes soul. Bread nourishes body. traces of emotion, moved today, weary tenderness, slower yet still singing, brief noon, faint break in clouds, truth follows distant path, melting snow trickles, ditch in hollows, straw gathered, echoes summoned, laborers cleared stones, earth's breath rose, rhythmic thud, spade's heartbeat, scholars wrote of transitional celebrations, labor's return, toil's profound meaning, farmer's grass joy forgotten by the world, labor weaving cloth, gazing at truth unfolding, evening's glow on the way home, candles brightening, warmth ever minus flowing. By the table, a small woodpecker bears the weight of years flaps, its wings catching firelight, as if in motion from the windowsill, gazing out at the darkening horizon, watching for spring's light outside. A faint pink glow snows, scent drifts, pure rain washes away the mist. A distant, low response, the bark's persistent whisper, stillness, constant, historians come and go, celebrations mark true strength, medieval farming life, the ability to grasp joy amidst hardship, hands clapping the hearth fire, listening to the crackling, understanding the centuries sustained by balance. Winter's chill spreads, eyelids heavy within the room, listening to soft sighs, the heartbeat of the thatched roof, seasons slowing, perhaps forever debating the meaning of festivals whether born of faith, hunger, or habit. Sitting still, one knows true art transforms resilience into delight, learning to dance amidst hardship. As cold sets in, faint light flickers in the darkness, time settles. Soft movement outside the window. Bare branches carry the scent of melting snow. Silence begins to spread. Endless waiting. Tales told. Candle flame faint. Soft glow steady. Listening in the dark. Wood whispers low. Trees yield. Wind ceases beyond the window. Stillness envelops. Blanket drawn tight. Late winter's repose. Almost hear the rhythm of ploughing months hence. Roof humming. Bees frozen. Finally releasing their bonds. Tonight, the season rests. Space. Memory meets possibility. Poinesh. Shadows slow minus dancing. Walls stretch. Folds gradually fading. Wooden window faintly lit. Candlelight hazy. A small reminder. All things bear laughter. Hunger. Kindness. Survival. Sleep. The cottage guards stillness. Outside. Snow melts. Morning fields awaken. New grain sprouts. New life. Sounds fill the square. Song and play. Prayers linger. Warmth weaves. Smoke rises lightly. Close eyes. At the end, a soft hum. Heartbeat hidden in breath. Tomorrow's worries. The beauty of the ordinary. The stillness of being alive. Slow the pace. Let tranquility settle like falling light around us. The hearth fire trembles. Steadies the tiniest star in the silent universe. Home returns. Lightly and effortless. Dreaming of spring follows close behind.